The day I buried my father, the church pews were full, but not a single one of them sat beside me. Not my mother, not my brother, not my sister. They all sat in a row of polished unity, but the space beside me remained untouched, like I was contagious. They weren't mourning the man I lost. They were mourning the image I shattered. To them, I'd disgraced the Harper name. I'd turned my back on everything my father had built. But what they were really talking about wasn't grief. It was Richmond. It was the case that got me fired from the FBI. The case I refused to lie about. I could have buried the truth. I could have doctored the report like they asked, said the operation was clean, that no civilians were exposed to anything dangerous. But that would have been a lie. A lie that would have buried families. So I didn't. And when I chose truth, I lost everything else. My badge. My family. My place at the Harper dinner table. From that day on, I was no longer a Harper by their standards. At town events, I became invisible. At Sunday brunches, I was the name no one said out loud. My mother told her friends I was going through a difficult time. My brother Nathan muttered words like unstable and disappointed. And my sister Lily? She just smiled like I was a memory she had learned to forget. Not one of them ever asked what I had seen in Richmond. Not one of them wanted to know. Because truth, in our town of Fair Haven, Virginia, didn't matter as much as legacy. And Harper legacy was something they intended to protect at all costs. But the thing they forgot, when they buried me in shame and silence, was that sometimes, when you bury something, it grows roots. And one day, those roots break the surface. That day came under the brightest lights in the country, in front of the President of the United States. As he bowed his head to me, I felt the echo of every door slammed in my face, every whisper, every cold stare. I didn't need applause. I didn't need an apology. I just needed the truth to be louder than the lie. And that day, it finally was. My name is Abigail Harper. I was silenced, erased, shamed. But the truth I carried refused to die. Before I share the story of how I got here, I just want to know you're listening. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're from. Every time I read a name or a city, it reminds me why I'm doing this. Because no one deserves to be forgotten for choosing what's right. Most people in Fair Haven know me as the woman who stamps building permits in the municipal office. No one really remembers I used to be Special Agent Abigail Harper of the FBI. That detail doesn't fit their version of me, the quiet disgrace who came home in shame and never left again. They forget I wore a badge. That I once carried a gun. That I stood in front of danger not because I had to, but because I chose to. They forget all of it. Or maybe they choose to. My mother, Eleanor Harper, still runs the Harper Hope Foundation, the crown jewel of Fair Haven's charity scene. Widow to Judge Raymond Harper. Matriarch of image and influence. She's everything this town worships. My brother Nathan is her hammer, polished, brilliant, ruthless. Head attorney for the county and master of every room he enters. My sister Lily, 10 years younger, is our mother's mirror. Assistant to the mayor, beloved by every smiling face at every ribbon cutting. And then there's me. The failure. The one who wouldn't play along. The one who walked away from the bureau rather than sign a lie. I hadn't been invited to the town gala that night. But I showed up anyway. I sat in the back of the hall, behind the artificial plants and buzzing fluorescents, watching my brother step onto the stage to accept the Citizen of the Year award. He thanked my mother. Thanked the foundation. The room beamed. And I sat there? Silent, erased, pretending it didn't sting. That's when everything changed. He walked in from the back, tall, dressed in military blues, eyes like winter steel. A colonel. He didn't head for the stage. He came straight toward me. The whispers spread fast. Special Agent Harper, he said. His voice rang through the room like a verdict. I read your report on the Richmond operation. It was one of the bravest acts I've seen in my service. My hands wouldn't move. My heart thundered. My mother's handkerchief dropped. My sister stared at her program like it had answers. My brother's jaw clenched tight. I said nothing at first, and then finally, "Do I know you?" He nodded once. "Colonel Marcus Reed. Army Intelligence." "No, you don't. But we've been following your work." The words didn't just echo, they cracked the floor under everyone. He nodded again and walked out. I sat there in the silence he left behind, the eyes of Fair Haven finally, turning toward me. By morning, the whispers were wildfire. People who hadn't looked me in the eye in years were suddenly curious. Some scared. Some pretending they'd always respected me. But not Lily. She texted, "You humiliated Mom. Don't stir things up. Leave it alone." I didn't reply. Later that day, Marcus showed up at my office. No appointment. No warning. He placed a folder on my desk, thick and heavy. "There's something happening in Fair Haven," he said. "And I believe your family's charity is part of it." Inside the folder were documents, shipping manifests, surveillance images, delivery records, all pointing to the Harper Hope Distribution Center. Signed by Lily. Marked with one terrifying label, VX77. I hadn't seen that code since Richmond. VX77 wasn't just a chemical. It was a weapon. A synthetic nerve agent tied to human trafficking rings. Deadly. Classified. Covered up. I didn't sleep that night. I waited by the warehouse. At 12:43 a.m., an unmarked truck rolled through the gates. No logos. No identifiers. The driver didn't step out. Lily did. Clipboard in hand. And beside her, a man with a limp, thick coat, voice like glass breaking. Vincent Cole. A ghost from Richmond. A trafficker. A war profiteer. A man we thought was dead. He wasn't. He had just moved into my town. The next day, I confronted Lily. Her apartment smelled like Valium. Her eyes were wet before I said a word. I saw you, I said. You think you're the only one who lost something in Richmond? She whispered. They've been watching us ever since. We're not in control anymore. I didn't know what she meant. But I could feel her terror. I broke into our old family home and found the only thing left of my father that mattered, taped under his desk. A USB drive. His face flickered onto my screen. His voice was cracked, but clear. He had known. About Cole. About the money. About Eleanor. She told me if I spoke, the family would be destroyed, he said. I stayed quiet to protect you. He had died with that weight. Trying to hold together a legacy that didn't deserve saving. The next morning, someone slid something under my door. My old FBI badge, snapped in half. With a note, stop digging. I didn't. Marcus and I planned a sting. We leaked fake intel about a VX77 shipment moving through the old rail yard. They took the bait. At 2:08 a.m., Nathan showed up. Nathan. Not Lily. Not Cole's men. My brother. And with him, Cole. I recorded everything. And I confronted Nathan. In his law office, I played the footage. He tried to spin it. Said it was about saving Harper Hope. Said he never meant for things to go this far. But I had stopped believing in good intentions the day they left me alone at Dad's grave. Then the FBI pulled us off the case. National security. Just like Richmond. Like truth didn't matter. If it embarrassed the wrong people. That night, a final envelope came. A tip, Cole would be at the DC Charity Summit. One last chance. I went. Undercover. Caterer badge. Hidden Mike Marcus in my ear. I found the crate. VX77 labeled as medical gear. I took photos. Uploaded them. And then all hell broke loose. The lights went out. A gun fired. I was shot in the shoulder. Cole appeared. Grinning. Confident. Certain I wouldn't make it out. But then, FBI. Marcus. Tactical teams. Cole on the floor. Cuffed. Lily was crying. She told me everything. How Nathan arranged the deals. How Eleanor kept records. How fear turned all of them into shadows. 1 week later, I stood in the White House. The president bowed to me. Called me a hero. But I wasn't thinking about him. I was thinking about Richmond. About Dad. About Fairhaven. About the fact that Cole had left me one last message. A photo. With a note, Fairhaven was just the test. 5 more cities are next. This isn't over. In Richmond, I met with Sarah Klein. She handed me a box from the archives, files that had been buried. Non-profits just like Harper Hope. In cities across the country. All of them tied to unexplained chemical exposures. All of them tied to something bigger than one man. At the bottom was a note. They're not smuggling weapons. They're rewriting the rules. I called Lily. Told her I had to keep going. She paused, then said, do it right this time, Abby. For all of us. So I will. This isn't about redemption anymore. This is about reckoning. And I'm not just Abigail Harper, the disgraced agent. I'm the storm they never saw coming. If this story reached you, leave a comment. I want to know who's listening. Who's out there. Because stories like this, they need to be heard. They need to live. Thank you. For being here. For choosing truth. The story isn't over yet. Not even close.